The brand new bombshell in the Hillary Clinton email investigation sparking a major uproar on Capitol Hill. It turns out the Justice Department gave an immunity deal to Clinton's former chief of staff, that's Cheryl Mills, and two other staffers as part of the now closed FBI investigation. Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge is live in Washington with more on this.
5 people were given limited immunity agreements by the Justice Department. And as you mentioned, they do include Clinton's lawyer, Cheryl Mills, who got her deal in exchange for FBI access to her computer. The other deals went to Clinton IT specialist Brian Pagliano, who set up the server that took classified information outside secure government channels. Heather Samuelson, the Clinton aide, who decided which emails were government business and which should be destroyed. Paul Combetta of Colorado-based Platte River Networks, who used a technology called BleachBit to destroy the Clinton email archive, even though he knew there was a congressional order to preserve the records. And State Department employee John Bentel, who ordered those who voiced concern about Clinton's private email use never to discuss it again. The bottom line is that next week is going to be a very big week for the FBI director. He is back on the Hill, and he will be testifying before the House Judiciary Committee. Today, during the hearing, FBI Director Comey talked about the integrity of the investigation, and the more he seemed to do that, the less he seemed to convince Republicans and his critics.
When I was at the Department of Justice, your reward for lying to federal agents was an 18 U.S.C. 1001 charge or potential obstruction of justice charge. It wasn't immunity.
Depends on where you're trying to go with the investigation. It's a low-level guy, and you're trying to move up in the chain, you might think about it differently.
But he lied to an FBI agent. You don't think that's important?
We also learned today that these 5 immunity deals were granted, and they were done so without any consultation with Congress. And we were told that that will have a negative impact on these ongoing investigations on Capitol Hill, and it may even derail some of them. Cheryl Mills was Hillary Clinton's chief of staff at the State Department. She also serves as Hillary Clinton's personal attorney. And what we learned today is that her immunity deal was much broader than just giving access to her computer.
Well, she not only got immunity from handling or mishandling classified information, but also obstruction. So nearly a year after the FBI initially seized the computer and thumb drives from the law offices, almost a year later, suddenly Cheryl Mills gets an immunity deal that protects her against obstruction and mishandling classified information.
And based on this email, another Republican charged today that Mills misled the FBI, telling them she didn't know about the Clinton server until after they left the State Department in 2013. But a full 3 years earlier, in 2010, Mills wrote this email to a Bill Clinton aide asking if the server was up and running because Clinton was back from a trip.
And one of the things that she claimed, as Catherine just outlined, was, I didn't even know about the server until 2013. But now this email surfaces from 2010 talking about how is the server up and running. So who did she lie to? To you? Did she lie to the FBI?
Well, I think she lied to everybody. I mean, to the FBI. I mean, I'm the one that brought that up to Director Comey, and I said, how is it that the FBI report concludes that she did not know about it until after it became public, when back in 2010 she was sending an email to Mr. Cooper. Now, Cooper works for the Clinton Foundation or Bill Clinton. He does not work for the State Department. So when there's a problem with her email, what does he do? She sends an email to this person asking, is the server okay? And this person, Mr. Cooper, writes back and says, oh, you're funny. You're on the same server. So come on, there's direct evidence.
What did Comey say to that?
How
did he justify the FBI's conclusion that she didn't?
He doesn't. And what makes no sense with Cheryl Mills.
Next to Hillary Clinton, Cheryl Mills would be the #2 target. So unless she's going to turn on Hillary Clinton, which she absolutely isn't because she's Hillary Clinton's attorney-client privilege, all right? Why would you give somebody like Mills immunity? For what reason? She's not going to give you anything. So why immunize her? Why do that?
Well, frankly, I was floored when I found out they'd given immunity to Mills, because she is, in fact, the most obvious target short of Clinton. She appears in all of these critical decisions at critical moments.
So you don't know, as an esteemed professor, you don't know why the FBI would give her immunity, and certainly Comey didn't explain it today, correct?
Well, Comey said that she said she would need immunity to turn over her laptop, which is particularly baffling. I mean, that laptop included what we now know.
Subpoena the laptop, right?
Right, and he said it would take too long, and that's odd. You know, Hillary Clinton was saying that her people were cooperating fully.
I'm delighted that he has agreed to cooperate, as everyone else has.
The FBI was asking for a laptop that contained public information.
But the American person, you know, sitting at home, why do they care about Cheryl Mills and this, you know, possible deception and so on?
Because they're worried that the Lady Justice has a little different blindfold in place when it deals with the Clintons.
What about this guy, Paul Gambetta? He's the guy that erased a lot of the emails even after he was told that the Benghazi Committee in Congress wanted to see them. He deleted them anyway.
He was up here last week on the Hill and took the fifth in his testimony. He is the one who used this technology called BleachBit to electronically scramble and destroy the Clinton records. And one of the lawmakers said today that this clearly will undermine their cases in the future, and questioned why these deals were allowed to stay in place, given that Mills and Gambetta, at least on one occasion each, misled the FBI, Shannon.
But wait, he destroys it. Everybody knows he did it. He knew that they were looking for it, and they give him immunity.
And it was alleged today Gambetta recently tried to destroy these online requests for help, wiping a very VIP email address that turned out to be Clinton's.
And then the clincher. Just last week, he's going online and trying to delete these Reddit posts. He's trying to cover up his tracks. He's trying to cover up the cover-up.
And he still gets immunity.
I think that's what's so curious about all this.
Curious?
Based on the FBI's own records, Gambetta was doing the bidding of Clinton IT specialist Brian Pagliano, who set up the server.
He got immunity too, and then he went to Congress. Congress subpoenaed him and wouldn't show up. This guy is going to be in contempt of Congress. I mean, is that cooperating?
It's not. And most of these agreements have an obligation to work with all branches of the government.
Doesn't it concern you as an investigator that your chiefs in the Justice Department decided to become an immunity-producing machine for many people who would have been very key witnesses should there have been a prosecution?
I don't think of it that way. Doesn't strike me there was a lot of immunity issued in this case.
There seems to be different strokes for different folks on this, and that's what Americans are concerned about. I don't think your answers are satisfactory at all, Mr. Comey. I think that there's a heavy hand coming from someplace else.
In many ways, the hearing today was a turning point. For a couple of months now, privately, we've been hearing from Republicans that they have deep concerns about the integrity of the investigation, the FBI director's leadership, and whether there were, in fact, special rules for Clinton and her team. And today, that spilled out into the open.
We, as Congress and the American people, are troubled how such gross negligence is not punished, and why there seems to be a different standard for the politically well-connected, particularly if your name is Clinton.
Isn't there a double standard that when you granted immunity to these 5 individuals, you took them out of the reach of prosecution for crimes committed related to destruction of documents or withholding or other crimes pursuant to congressional subpoenas?
I don't think anybody was given transactional immunity.
Oh, really?
We've been covering the email case here at Fox News for the better part of a year and a half. And coming out of the hearing today, there were a couple of instances of new information, which makes it hard not to come to the conclusion that FBI investigators essentially turned a blind eye to this information, because 2 of the individuals who got these immunity deals did lie to FBI investigators in the course of their inquiry, Harris.
Because we're, as you know, big about the law.
What concerns me, Director, is when you have 5 immunity agreements and no prosecution, when you are allowing witnesses who happen to be lawyers, who happen to be targets, to sit in on an interview. That is not the FBI that I used to work with.
I hope someday when the political craziness is over, you will look back again on this, because this is the FBI you know and love. This was done by pros in the right way.
If this was just a mistake, why is it that everybody's pleading the fifth and having to get immunity deals? I want Hillary Clinton to look in the camera and tell people there's immunity, they're not going to prosecute. Tell Congress and tell the American people the truth. Right now, we can't get to that truth.
I got to tell you, I don't know whether you follow the program or not, Professor, but I, in the beginning, told my audience that I trusted James Comey, the FBI chief. I no longer do. I don't believe that this is an honest investigation. I believe that this is political. I believe they never wanted to find out what happened, and that is what this country is facing.
Call us wrong, but don't call us weasels. We are not weasels. We are honest people. This was done the way you would want it to be done.